Lesson 22.1, Task 2. Identify measures of center and spread. A statistic is a number that characterizes a data set. The mean and median are two statistics that measure the central tendency or center of a data set. All right, so these are important to know. These are definitions you've probably seen before, but just a review. So measures of center, your mean is denoted by a lowercase Greek letter mu. This is the symbol here. Make sure you know that. The sum of all the values in the data set divided by the number of data values. That's called your average. I'm going to show you another symbol because on your calculator, if you're looking at the average, if you have a TI-84, this denotes average. X with a bar over it, but anytime you see other data, mu also represents your mean. So this or this. Make sure in your notes you have that because I may show you how to use your calculator. So be familiar with X with the bar over it also represents your mean. All right, your median. For any ordered data set with an odd number of values, the median is the middle value. For an ordered data set with an even number, the mean is the average of the two middle values. The median is sometimes denoted by Q2. All right, also make sure you know that it says ordered data. That means this has to be in order from least to greatest. So to find the median, your data set does have to be ordered. All right, the interquartile range and standard deviation are two statistics that measure the dispersion or spread of a data set. Measures of spread. So your interquartile range, known as IQR, the difference of the third quartile denoted Q3 and the first quartile denoted Q1. All right, so to find the interquartile range, you're going to do Q3 minus Q1. That's what the difference means. So Q1 is also called the lower quartile and it is the median of the lower half of the data. Q3 is also called the upper quartile, and it is the median of the upper half of the data. All right, so again, just kind of denote Q3 minus Q1. That is your interquartile range. All right, standard deviation. You don't need to know this formula. I will show you how to find standard deviation in your calculator. Just know that standard deviation is denoted by the Greek letter sigma, okay, and the square root of the variance, which is calculated as shown within elements from your mean. So again, standard deviation is another measure of spread. Know the symbol, and you will see how to use your calculator to find that. So you do not need to know that formula. Feel free to write it down if you want, but it's much easier in the calculator. All right, statisticians distinguish between statistics for sample data and statistics for population data. In this book, only statistics for population data are used. The amount of money Sanjay earned from selling t-shirts at 7 basketball games is listed below. All right, so you can see here we've got 54, 46, 68, 62, 63, 65, and 104. Complete the statements concerning the amount of money Sanjay earned at the 7 games. The mean of the amount of money earned is... All right, I'm going to show you how to use your calculator to find this data, because it is easier to do it this way. So if you go to Stat and hit Edit. So we're going to hit Edit, and we're going to put these numbers here, just the amount. We don't need the game, but put the 54, 46, 68, 62, 63, 65, 104. We put all of those in L1. Make sure they are correct. And then go back to Stat, go over to Calculate, And number 1 says 1var stats. If you click that, it's going to give you a whole bunch of information. So remember where I said your average is X with the bar over it? So the mean is your average, so that's 66. Now the median, if you scroll down here, you can see that here's your standard deviation. I told you that I'd show you how to use your calculator to find that. So if it asks for standard deviation, that's the 16.9. You could probably round that up to 17 depending on how they want it. There was n numbers that we input. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. N just represents the number. So the minimum is here. Q1 is here. The median is 63. That's what we're looking for right now. Q3 is here. So if we need interquartile range, you can do Q3 minus Q1. So 1var stats gives you a ton of information. So right now we just need the median. So let's put 63. And then something I want you to be aware of. So if you look here and you think the median is supposed to be the middle number, it looks like this is the middle number, but it says that it's 63. Well, 68 is larger than these values, so these are not in order. So you would have to put these in order to find the mean by hand. So in the same sense, you could write them in order and find the median, or you could just put them in your calculator and the calculator did it for you. Okay, so there are a couple ways to do that. Again, go to Stat, hit Edit, enter your numbers, then go to Stat, calculate 1var stats, and that's how you find all of that information there. All right, it says, why are these statistics considered measures of center? Choose all that apply. All right, the median identifies the average amount earned per game. The median identifies the middle of the data set once the data values have been ordered from least to greatest. Okay, so the median is the middle when they're ordered from least to greatest. So that one's true. The median identifies the amount of money CNJ earned during the fourth or middle game. The mean evens out the difference among the data values, resulting in the number that falls somewhere between the least and the greatest data value. All right, so the mean does kind of even out the differences. The mean identifies the dollar amount in the middle of the data set. It's not necessarily in the middle. The mean identifies the average amount of money that individuals spent during a game. All right, so it did find kind of the average that CNJ earned, but not that they spent during the game. So there's only 2 there that look like they are the correct answers. All right, for the given data set, the interquartile range is 14 and the standard deviation is 16.98. So let's go back to our data set and see if that's what we found. So if we look at the interquartile range here, Q3 minus Q1, 68 minus 54 would be 14, so that is correct. And the standard deviation, again, was this one right here, 16.98. So they rounded it to the 100th place. 16.98 is correct as well. So why are these statistics considered measures of spread? Complete the explanation. So the standard deviation gives information about how far most of the values are from the average or the mean of the data. The interquartile range tells you about how far the middle half of the data are spread. That's why it's called interquartile range, because we're talking about the middle half. All right, if data set A has a greater interquartile range than data set B, what conclusion can you draw about the values in the 2 data sets? All right, set A has a greater median. Set A has a greater mean. The numbers in the middle of set A are more spread than set B. All the numbers in set A are more spread out than set B. Okay, so if we're talking about the interquartile range, if data A has a greater interquartile range, That means the numbers in the middle of set A are more spread out than set B. Which measure of spread tells you how the values in a data set vary from the mean? Complete the explanation. The blank tells you how the values in the data set vary from the mean. So this would be standard deviation, because to calculate it, you need to find the difference between each value and the mean. So if you look back at the formula, you can see that you do take each value, so you take x minus the mean and then square it, plus another x minus the mean and square it, plus so on and so on. You do that for all the values, then divide it by the total number in the set, take the square root of that, and that's how you find the standard deviation. Or put your numbers in here, and there is your standard deviation, okay? So much easier using the calculator. But standard deviation does tell you how the values vary from the mean or the average. All right, that's all for task 2. If you have any questions, let me know.